that chemical you used earlier, the one you were talking about, it was in that plastic tube with the thing around it. Was that also known as BAP6?
Yes, 6-BAP. That's 6-benzylamino-purine. That's what that is. That is it's one of your plant growth hormones and regulators. 6-benzylamino-purine. I've got it right here, as a matter of fact. That's this one. Oh, got to look at the cat. Yeah, I write 6-BAP on it so that I know what it is. I've got 3 vials sitting here just because I have the stock solution made up. I've got your IBA right here. And I always write down 1 milligram per milliliter. It depends on what solution I make. When it comes up to 6-BAP, I generally always do 1 milligram per milliliter. But for some of these other hormones, I may have a totally different mixture because of what I'm using as a stock. Sometimes it'll be up to 10 milligrams per milliliter, like for TDZ, which is that's used to induce callus, or for gibberellic acid. Whenever I do gibberellic acid, it's usually 2 milligrams per milliliter, and that's a better mix for the stock solutions that I use. So I like to write that down in the cap so I don't forget when I go to making a solution. It's easy to forget if you have them sitting around for a week or 2 or 3 or even a month, you know. Now, those will be stored in a refrigerator. I've actually got a refrigerator in the next room that's specifically for all of my lab stuff. So I don't cross-contaminate anything. I don't have any funky food that used to be in there. It's just one of those little small, like, well, I guess it's an apartment refrigerator. It's not the little bitty, like, dorm-sized one. It's a full-size, got a freezer on top and a refrigerator in it. But it's never been used for anything other than, you know, storing stock solutions and chemicals. So, yeah.
So maybe...
you can come over here and hang out with us now.
So maybe people don't know that the hormones come in powder, and you need to make a solution because if you even cross that over.
Yeah, that's something. If you guys go out and try to buy these hormones, they generally come in a powder form. Look, don't listen to the manufacturers when it comes to how to mix these powders. I've bought them from multiple places, and none of them, they all expect you to know is what it is. And in truth, making stock solutions is kind of chemistry 101. You should understand how to take, you know, a certain amount of the powder and turn it into, well, like I said, 1 milligram per milliliter, right? For an entire milliliter, I want it to have 1 milligram in it. So what I do is make sure that for every milliliter of liquid, there's a milligram of fluid. So to make a 50 milliliter test tube, I'd use 0.5 grams. That's a half a gram, right? Isn't that right? 0.5 or 0.05? Yeah, 0.5. Yeah, 0.5 grams. Cut that down by 100, and now you're sitting at, you're sitting at 1 milligram per milliliter. So I've got 50 milliliters in there, so you want 50 milligrams. There you are. Yeah. Had to sit there and think and do the math in my head, man. Don't make me think about math right now. Good Lord, it's 9 o'clock at night. But yes, you do need to know how to make a stock solution that's going to be the proper dilution rate for what you're doing. And for me, 1 milligram per milliliter works for most of this stuff. Some of it you want to be a little bit different. Like I said, your TDZ up to 10 milligrams. Gibberellic acid, I like it 2 milligrams. Yes? I thought I heard you back there with a question.
No. Oh, well, maybe you should mention that some hormones are not...
Oh, yeah. A lot of these hormones are not soluble in water. Okay? They're just not. Water doesn't dilute everything. You'll never end up with a full dilution. Generally, I'll use 2 different things. Either a sodium hydrochloride or ethanol. And you don't want to use isopropyl alcohol. You want to use actual ethanol. Okay? Isopropyl alcohol always make it a little bit chunky, and it never quite makes it dissolve all the way. Actual ethanol does make it dissolve. I use ethanol for your TDZ and your gibberellic acid and the naphthalene acetic acid. For your IBAs or your your IBA or your 6-BAP, they say they're dilutable in water, dissolvable in water. I like using sodium hydrochloride. Would you hand me a bottle there so I can show them what it looks like? It's the bottle in the back, right back in the back. Yep, right there. Right there.
There you go.
And you can pick a bottle like this up that'll last you forever. Like I've been using this for probably 2 years and it's still right here. And this is a solution that's already made up. It's 1 liter of solution. You can pick that up on Amazon for about $20 already made. If you want to make your own, all it is lye. That's all it is lye. You can get lye crystals and you can make the solution yourself if you want to mix it down to the 1 milligram per milliliter, which is what this is. Now, I will tell you, it's highly, highly, highly caustic. If you get this and drop it onto your hand and you're not wearing gloves or whatever, it will go to burning. This is the stuff that'll melt a hole in you. Right here, this will do it. This is the same stuff that you pour down a drain when you get a clog in the drain. This is just a much more concentrated solution than what you buy with liquid plumber. But sodium hydrochloride is what you want. Bleach, by the way, is sodium hypochlorite. Totally different thing. And you always, hand me my bleach bottle there. Yeah, hand me my bleach jug. One of them says bleach on it. Just turn them around. The jugs. Yeah, turn them around.
There we go.
There we go. Here's another thing. Anytime you make a stock solution, write it on the jug. This is a 20% bleach solution so that I don't forget what I'm doing when I'm sterilizing things or when I'm using it as a cleaning agent. I never want to use a 10% when I need a 20%. I never want to use a 5% when I need a 10%. I always like to know what the solution is. And I generally mix up at least a liter at a time because it's easy math. You've got 1,000 milliliters, so if you want a 10% solution, use 100 milliliters. 100 milliliters into 1,000 milliliters, and you've got a 10% solution. Now, it's not an actual 10% solution of sodium hypochlorite, but it is a 10% solution, dilution of the bleach out of your bottle. The reason I tell you that is depending on the brand of bleach that you buy, you'll have anywhere from a 4.3 to a 7.2 concentration. I have found that as long as I stick with between 10 and 20%, no matter what brand it is, I generally get a really good surface sterilization. If you let that plant sit there long enough for the tips to start turning white and die off, you've got a good sterilization. And I generally get that within about 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes at a 10%. And sometimes it's within 7 or 8 or 10 minutes for a 20%, depending on the plant. Now, you don't want to go using a 20% on a very, very, very delicate plant, but if you need to get an extra kill, it works. Another thing, if you happen to have one that is a little contaminated and a little funky and you need to separate that out and change it, spray it with 91% alcohol. Just spray it with the alcohol and let it sit there. Let it set and completely, dry off. You may have to spray it again, and then you're going to rinse it off. You may end up killing your plant and drying it out, but it's much better than letting that bacteria or letting that mold, sit there and continue to grow and then screw up the next batch. I'd rather just kill it off. However, the alcohol itself sprayed directly onto the affected area generally does knock out the problem for you to continue going forward. If you want to make sure, then you're going to want to dip it in your Fizan every time you subculture. And you're going to want to subculture in 2 weeks. Don't wait 4 weeks. Don't wait 6 weeks. Most of these things are going to show their ugly head within about 2 weeks. So, as long as between 2 and 4 weeks. So if you do it in 2 weeks, even if it's something that's starting to come back, right? You see a little bit of fungal infection that's trying to come back, a little bit of bacterial that's trying to grow again. Go ahead and kill it again. Kill it again, put it into new media. You may have to do that 2 or 3 or 4 times to save your plant or to save your explant, but that is an effective means of doing that. Now, if you're not getting a good kill, you need to reevaluate your sterilization process. I had some in here that was totally funky a couple of months ago, and I went on here and showed you guys how to take it. We did the alcohol first. We did a full alcohol bath. We dipped it in the alcohol and left it in 70% alcohol for about 60 seconds. Then we rinsed that off a couple of times, put it into a hydrogen peroxide bath, and that's a full straight 3%, just like it comes out of the bottle. No dilution, none of that kind of stuff. Then we rinsed that. Then we went to a Fizan bath, and the Fizan bath stayed there for about 5 minutes. We went straight from the Fizan into the gel, and that knocked out most of it. I think we still lost 1 or 2 of them, but out of the 10 or 15 that we did that night, most of them turned out just fine. Well, as a matter of fact, that's what some of that peperomia
I
come
think
from.
that's what that pepperoni
Yeah,
is.
yeah, some of that peperomia was like that. I told you it all had that weird fungal infection on it. Well, we got it. We knocked it out. Now it's beautiful. Now you see what can be done. And that was a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, a month and a few days. What's today?
Today's the 11th.
There you go. A month and a half, roughly. Month and 12 days. Yeah, a month and 12 days. So now you know what's possible. All this stuff is. Look, they do this stuff in third world countries. I try to tell people that all the time, and then they look. She gives me hell about saying that. But the point is these countries that don't have the amenities that we have, right? They're still able to hire some lady that has no education to go sit there and do this stuff for a little bit of nothing. It's just a process. All you need to know are the steps to make it happen. And as long as you're following the steps, the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s, you don't have to have some big degree. You don't have to be the most knowledgeable person in the world to make it work. It's a simple process of making the right mixtures, making sure that your pH is correct, okay? And you need to know that. If you're dealing with carnivorous plants, they like a little bit more acidity. They like anywhere from a 5.4 to a 5.6 pH. That's something that maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know. But your average plants that you're going to be dealing with, your average house plant out there is anywhere between 5.6 and 5.8. I have had some that I left at a 6.0. It worked. It worked. However, the more acidic you go, they start to yellow pretty quickly. So don't go too acidic. You definitely don't want to do that. And you don't want to go too basified either. I mean, if you go too extreme on either way, it's kind of rough. But you've got a couple of points to play with, is what I'm saying. And points are easy. It's a portion of a drop, y'all. If you were going to adjust it, let me show you that too. If you're going to adjust your pH, there's a lot of things you could use. You can use pickle juice. You can use vinegar. You can use baking soda. There's all kinds of things that you can use to adjust that pH. But you know what? Just go get yourself some pH up and pH down. It's like $15 for the set. It's super cheap and it's easy to use. And all it is phosphoric acid. Real simple. For the most part, if you're only using BA and you're using distilled water, or excuse me, BAP, if you're using the 6-BAP and distilled water, it's generally going to be 1.5 drops of pH down. And I say 1.5 because that's all it is. It's not 2 drops. It's 1.5. If you put 2 drops in, you're going to sit there and teeter back and forth between these things for about 20 minutes before you get it right. But about one in a bubble. I put 1 drop and then a bubble of the second drop, and you're there. That's all it takes to knock it down.
Make sure you're measuring it after you've put in all your water.
That's right. Don't measure the pH before you've added all of your liquid. Make sure that you're sitting at the 1,000 milliliter mark before you do that. I've screwed up before. Okay, I've done that. I've sat there, I poured it up to, 600 or 800, 900 milliliters or what have you. Added all my other ingredients and then checked the pH and said, man, I'm off and I don't know why. And I'll sit there and teeter back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I realized at the end that I wasn't at the proper dilution rate, which means that everything else is too concentrated too. So it's one of those things that happen when you're tired, is what happens. You get to working at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night after you've been at your day job all day long, and it's easy to make those mistakes. Hey, if you have enjoyed this type of content and you'd like to see more, then hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button so that you get notified when there's new videos put out. And if this is the type of nerdy plant content that you enjoy, tell all your friends about it. Hit that share button. Give us a like. It goes a long way to letting us know that we're doing the right job, that we are providing the content and the information that you're looking for, and it helps us decide on what to put out next for you. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.